Talk live. Hello, my friends. How are you doing? Thanks for joining me tonight. All right, so we got another awesome stream together. Hi, Sandra. Thanks for joining from Washington State, USA. Awesome. Everyone else in the stream, please also say hello and where you come from. Hi. What? By the way, what's with Eric? He hasn't been here the last stream and also this stream. He's always the first one to comment, but yeah, not for the last two streams. I hope he's well. I hope everything is good. By the way, let me add a graphic here real quick to my stream. How do I do this? Yeah, let's call this Q1. Make source visible. Yes. Browse. There we go. This is the question for today. Let's put this maybe down here. All right. So this is about... Oh, Pelusa. You can see Pelusa a little bit down here. His cat ear is looking, is looking up. Big fan of the channel. Thank you very much, Chris. That's awesome. Hi, Joanne from Netherlands. How are you doing? Thanks for joining. So this stream is really about asking you, what are you doing to improve your photography, right? Sandra, thanks for helping me with upload problems on Facebook. Ah, yes. I saw your post. No problem. Yes, that's sometimes I do the same mistake, right? I export in the wrong format. Like, for example, for YouTube, I export in PNG and then it's over 2 megabytes and YouTube can't use that for a thumbnail. So I have to like look at the settings every single time. It's really important. Hi, Thomas from what? Mlada Boleslav. I'm probably pronouncing that completely wrong. Czech Republic. That's awesome. Thanks for joining. Okay. Awesome. Really nice. I also have a text file open. I can show you in a second. Also, by the way, I posted on my Chris says, wait a second. Chris says your tutorials are on Affinity are ace. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. That's really awesome. Always try to create good content for you, good tutorials, and to show you some new stuff to do with that software, right? By the way, I posted on my Facebook and YouTube some drama around my channel. I want to talk about that today too a little bit. And it's about my. It's really interesting because I see myself as a person who's pretty spontaneous, and easygoing, usually. But it's really interesting that I have a certain rhythm when I work, and then when some other things come into that, I'm completely thrown off that rhythm, which is strange. This is like usually I'm pretty spontaneous with other things, but with work things, especially with YouTube, I'm like, there has to be this rhythm, and then something else comes in, and suddenly everything is like in shambles. I don't know. Do you know that kind of feeling like and this was for me with the driver's license. Chris is greetings from Norway. Hi, thanks for joining from Norway. Yeah, with the driver's license, this threw off so much for me because I thought I want to not stuff my mind with other things while I'm learning to drive. Just focus on that and just focus on the theory and on the practice and stuff like that. And so I pushed I pulled back on other things. And this is why, like last month, I didn't do a creative pack, and this month it isn't out. So it's this kind of, and the strange thing, I think you also know that kind of feeling when you try to do something, but then you hold it off for some time. It mounts up and mounts up and mounts up, and it gets a little bit more every day. And instead of trying to work that off, the mind goes into procrastination mode, right? Where you do even less in that time. And it's not a relaxing procrastination where you say, okay, I'm reloading my batteries. It's quite the opposite. It's where you don't do the things you're supposed to do, but at the same time it costs you more energy not to do them, and also you can't do them because you are in that procrastination loop. As a really strange kind of thing, right? I guess a lot of people know that feeling because it's pretty common for people to if problems come around, to avoid them in a passive way, by just not doing anything, right? It's pretty common. So yeah, that's really interesting, right? Sounds like doing the laundry. Yeah, things like that, right? Stuff like that, or not doing it. Yeah, if you have something, even if you like it, even if something is something positive you want to do, just because it mounted up to a lot of things, it just suddenly your mind unconsciously switches into a different mode, right? So yeah, that's really a very kind of strange thing happening, right? And I have to get back up to that level of doing. I think also in the some weeks ago I just did too many things at the same time, right? Oh, by the way, this is something that reminds me I also want to talk about, and that is Kenbo from North Wales. Hi, thanks for joining. And that is the creative packs that I'm doing. I have to find another way to do that. Because I really like doing them, but it is also at the same time a lot of creative stress to try to come up with a product every single month. And it always has to be a good product that sells well, because this is where my an 90% of my income comes from. Let's say 80% of the income comes from. So yeah, that's a lot of pressure, right? To do it like that. And it's not, at the same time, it is not something you can build on. You can't make it better over time because you have to jump on the next thing, right? Because you have to make product after product after product. Like imagine Coca-Cola would come out with a new taste every single month, and every single month you have to create something that people like to drink, and then you can't improve on the old thing, right? That's not a great concept. So I try to find a better concept, which is also why I'm going to London, I'm going to LA to meet some people, to learn from them how to do that in a better way. And what I already know what I want to do, which is a bit difficult for me, but I want to try that, is to do a live workshop when as soon as I come back. So I will also plan that in June. I will figure out what I want to do. I kind of basically have a concept of what I want to do, but what exactly I want to do. Like I think that the live workshop should be around going from raw to the final image, and then like having a how can I say? So the workshop consists of like, first of all, of course, finding out what is most important for people, but then also have like a consistent string of information to help people through the process, through the workflow, all these kind of things. I think that might be pretty helpful for most people, and it's not too specific because it can be everything, but at the same time, this process is similar in most cases for most people, right? So it's not going to be specific about any kind of thing like portraits or stuff like that. So I think that might be a good solution to do it like that. Yeah. Okay, Sandra says, have you thought about writing a book with all of your background and experience? I have thought about that, but I'm not really a book writer. So that's probably the biggest problem about that, is writing is not my strong suit. And I like to talk a lot more than I like to write things, right? And it's also organizing information. Like, this is a huge amount of information you would put into a book compared to a course. And to organize that is pretty difficult, I think, right? So I've tried for several months to create a beginner's course, and I just couldn't wrap my mind around. I'm still working on that, but I can't wrap my mind around how to package all that information so it's not like, I don't know, 30 hours long, and at the same time you capture the basic things that people want to know. And also, what are the basic things, right? It's pretty difficult to find that out. AAA says, hi, I'm from Saudi Arabia. Have been waiting for Infinity Programs tutorials because there is a lack of it, unlike Adobe. Yeah, I mean, of course, Adobe is bigger, so there's a lot more tutorials, but my channel has hundreds of videos on that, and there's also some other channels out there who do different things. I think there's a lack for more specific channels. So if anybody wants to create a channel around Affinity Photo, if you would specify on something, right? For example, Affinity Photo channel just for nature photography, or just for portrait photography, or just for product photography, that would be great, right? If you're an expert in that kind of thing, you have done it for a lot of years, and you feel like you're a good educator, then probably that's a good thing, right? Say hi to the cat. I need a cat cam, maybe. That would be cool. Right. That would be nice. Okay. So that's the drama right now, is to just like having this kind of how do you say, falling out of the rhythm, because of course the driving license is now over, so I can climb back to my normal rhythm. And then also, to try to, how can I restructure that so I don't have to do a product every month, but I can give you something every month at the same time. So it's a consistent product that I can build on, which I find much more interesting to do for a longer time, because it can improve in quality rather than having something. Because the other thing to keep in mind is that if I build something in 1 month for you, I can only ever pull that amount of time into that product. I can't do afterwards, because, of course, over time, it's a lot of products. I'm not sure how many I've created so far, maybe 20 or 30 or even more different products. I'm not sure. So, of course, over time, you can't go back to them and say, okay, I'm improving all of these products now. But if you only have one, like the course, some people do that, and they get better and better and better over time, and they can add value over time. It's really great, right? So that's kind of the thing I'm trying to figure out right now. Sandra says, if you need help, I have written a lot of technical manuals. Really? Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Instructional materials, and offer services if you ever wish. That would be great. I'm just not sure I'm the right person to do that. Yeah, but I don't know. Well, it's an idea. It's still an idea. A lot of people have suggested to do this, even with my tutorials, but it's just, for a tutorial on YouTube, it's just too much work to do a PDF. As a long-going product, it might be nice. What also could be nice is to have something that is maybe part of that workshop, right? So where you just have all of these kind of, or just the best bits or something like that, right? If you know what I mean. Okay, let's switch over with the screen here so we can go to the question, and I hope you participate. So this is a test for this stream. If people actually participate, should we do it a little bit different? Oh, wait a second, I have some stuff here still open. Let's close that first, and then also probably want to hide that. How do I do this? Wait a second. Wait, I will switch over again before until I've hidden my what is all that stuff in here? Bookmark. How do I? Oh, there. Hide the bar so everything is a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, cool. So there we can go. So now today I try to do a very interactive kind of stream, right? Hi Hector from Denmark, thanks for joining. Do you ever use other affinity products, publisher or designer? Hi Ian, how are you doing? Or Ian, sorry. Not really, to be honest, because I can do all of the things I need in Affinity Photo. I thought about doing videos about the other things, like I have done a designer video in the past and a publisher video, but then as I thought it's better to focus on photography with the channel rather than mixing it up even more, right? And also I'm not really, I've never been an illustrator in my life, so vector art is completely not my thing. I've also never done any kind of publishing stuff like you would do with publisher, like a book layout or stuff like that, because I don't have the mind for that, right? What I did in the past is I design websites and flyers and stickers and logos and newsletters and stuff like that. But all of those, they mainly require JPEGs. They are screen designs, not print designs most of the time. Of course, flyers are print design, but yeah. So, but not really, you know, like you don't need publisher to make a flyer is what I'm saying with that. Okay, anyways. Let's go to the big question. Get good at photography. How do you get better? Well, like what are your personal like techniques to do that? I've done a lot of videos on all of this stuff and also streams. We've talked about that in the past, but today I'm asking directly you. What is your suggestion? What you would say, this makes my photography better, or this is how I learned, or this is how I started. This is kind of the process, because it's nice if I talk about that, but just my perspective, right? So today, if you have other, oh, did I write it wrong? Oh, the question is also gone. Get good at photography. No, wait a second. The image is not there anymore. Let me re-add that. Add as existing one. There we go. Yes, please. Proof your photography. There we go. That's the one. This is the question that I'm asking you today, and I'm writing a list, and then maybe we can do something with that list. I'm not sure yet, right? So what is your kind of thing where you say, this helped me the most? Or these are things that, like, how did you start with photography in the first place, right? Because, of course, I'm coming from a generation where we still had analog film. I had one of these clicky cameras where you make like to bring the film forward, and then you shoot a photo, and then you again do this with this little lever. Is it a lever? Yes, it's a lever, right? Which was kind of funny, and also you only had like 36 photos usually, a little bit more sometimes, a little bit less. So yeah. Different process, right? And you would look through the thing through the Finder. That was a really different process. So I kind of, do you still look through the Finder when you do photos? It has some benefits, it has some downsides. Of course, it's less, like you're less like, how do you say, agile with that, because your eye has to be at the position of the camera, while now with the monitor you can just like wildly move it around, so that might be a benefit. So let me know, what is your like do I see all of the comments? Is there something missing? Maybe no. Okay, don't be shy, or say you can also talk about what you don't like about your photography. Maybe we can talk about that, right? So yeah, when I use a Hasselblad. I think about it. Did you write 2 comments? Because when I use a Hasselblad, it sounds like you said something before, but I don't see that. I hope we don't have a problem with the chat. By the way, the chat you see on screen is not the chat that I'm seeing. Because I see the chat directly from... Oh, wait a second. Oh no, this is the same thing. Okay, that's good. It was an interesting transition to SLR. Ah, okay. So you mean like the big cameras where you look from the top like this, and you have like the the little, how do you say, like thing on the side to spool the film. Hi, Christian from Frankfurt. How are you doing? Thanks for joining. I will try to take a photo with different settings. Ow. I try to take a photo with different settings, blend and time. Aperture and time, yes. I was referring to alt lever forward cameras. I see. Okay. Yeah, so like experimenting with that, right? To see what kind of results you get. Do you ever use charts for that? Okay, let's say experiment with aperture and then time, and also, what was the last one? Settings. Yeah, settings. Okay. So do you use a chart? Like, do you look it up and say, okay, also at the old lenses, we still had this kind of, it showed you where the depth of field is. Like there was a chart printed onto the lens that showed you, oh, this is the range of sharpness, of distance to the lens for sharpness. The modern lenses don't have that anymore. They have very, very little information on them, if any information at all, which is kind of strange. And also there's no kind of visual thing. I guess they could like measure the 3D space and tell you where exactly the sharpness is. Or, I mean, they have like this kind of sharpness peaking, you know, where you get this kind of yellow overlay or something where you see, okay, it's sharp in that areas, but not sharp in the other areas, which I find personally a bit confusing. Awkward, but old school. Yeah, that's true. And they are very expensive now, especially the digital ones, right? Lever forward cameras. I started with a DSLR with size from my grandfather. Oh, interesting. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I also started with a... No, wait a second. DSLR is DSLR is already a digital camera? Yes, right? Kind of... Let me see. Is that already digital? No, but if you say your grandfather's probably... Oh, no. Oh, yeah, it is. Digital single to reflex camera. So what have been the SLR? The before that it was just an SLR, right? Yeah, this one. You know, this kind of stuff here. Not the car, but this one. Ah, Minolta. Yeah, the good old brands. They are not around anymore, I guess. I think I had an Olympus camera, and Minolta. I had a Minolta. What else was like names back then? Like consumer brand names, right? Yeah, the good old names. They have... Yeah, are they still around? I don't even know if they still make cameras. Okay, so testing out settings. Nikon was just... My Nikon has such a feature. What? Like the sharpness overlay? My first camera was a Centil SLR. Centil? I've never heard that. No metering and full manual using Ilford black and white film. Oh, nice. Fancy. Oh, this is another question. Like, what kind of mode do you use when you photograph? Do you use like completely manual or aperture? Is it called aperture preference? I think it's called aperture preference. Or there's different kind of modes, right? I use usually aperture preference and then have the camera figure out the timing, stuff like that. So yeah, I think you can learn a lot from manual though. And I think it's not even that hard because you have the measurement in the camera that shows you if it's too bright or too dark, or like if you're kind of in the right vicinity, and then you have a better understanding of the process of although I rarely do it myself, but I think you learn a lot. You can probably find some on eBay. Really? What can find what on eBay? Like old lenses, you mean? Or is there such a big delay in between the what I say and yeah, I don't even know. Okay. So what else? Is it like I don't know, is this question too general? I don't know. Well, let's should I talk about, but if then I'm talking again, you know? I want you to talk, not me, because I'm always talking about do this and do that. So it's better if you suggest things because you already know my opinions on things, right? So I have 2 cups today. This one is, oh, it looks gray. It's green actually. Do you read magazines, photo magazines? Follow photographers that tell you why they are making the photos from a certain perspective and show you the alternative. Are there photographers who do that? I've never seen that, to be honest. Is that like, do they have blogs or something, or they make YouTube videos? I thought about doing, I actually have done a video like that, but I want to do more videos like that, which is also kind of a change I want to do with the channel to show more of the photo process. Yeah, but of course, still in tutorial style, right? And this kind of before and after. Ooh, my cat is, how do you say, coughing. You were asking if they still sell those cameras, and I was saying, oh, okay. Yeah, I see. You can find them. No, I thought like new models. Does Minolta still make new cameras? We can actually search for that. Minolta. Is that still a thing, Minolta camera? Or did they went out of business? I guess they did. Okay. So in 2006, Konica Minolta announced that it was leaving the camera and photo business. Interesting. Wow. And it will sell a portion of SLR camera business to Sony. Oh, interesting. Okay. To move. Okay, interesting. I think did I ever read photo magazines? I don't think I did ever do that. I read books about that, and I, of course, National Geographic. I wouldn't call that a photo magazine though, but not really like specific photo tip like advice magazines. I guess also because often in these magazines you have technical photographers. I still like I'm not sure if you agree, but I think there's like 2 kinds of photographers. There's like artistic photographers and technical photographers. And the artistic photographers they do very like really good photography, like the people in National Geographic, stuff like that. Lots of feeling in there, like lots of expression and lots of story in the shot. And then you have technical photographers who are like really, really good technically, but it's just not it's not really an interesting shot. It's just like it's technical, very well made, but it's just technical good, not artistically good. It's not something you're like, oh wow, that's so nice, you know. It's just like it looks, wow, that's a very precise photo, it's very sharp, but that's it. So I think a lot of that advice, I often had a feeling that the advice often is more technical than actually artistical. So I think that was, but yeah, maybe, I don't know. Okay, let me see the comments. Maybe I put the comments here. So does this overlay with the comments on the screen, or do I not have? I don't have comments on the screen, so I can put this here. That's good. Okay. Johan says, okay, I've already read that. JB says, you were asking if they sell. Oh, I have already. Okay. Design says, I practice photography as subject with different lenses, with different settings in order to get to know the properties of the lens. That is some really good advice. I tried reading a few, but these seem more advertising than information. Oh, yes, that's also true. Yeah. That is true. I also like, I stopped. I bought more magazines actually about synthesizers, and then at a certain point I stopped, because every time a new magazine came out, like a new issue came out, you had this kind of feeling like you need that kind of gear to be good. Oh, that kind of effect. Oh, that sampler. Oh, that synthesizer. There's all this kind of like rush in your brain. You need this and this and this and that to be actually good. And then I stopped and it all went away. Right. So that's really interesting. Trying out lenses. That's actually a really good point here. Experimenting with lenses. This is a good point, because I'm not sure if a lot of people even understand what lenses are doing and how they are different. So that could also be like interesting videos, right? Recently I talked with a photographer, and I said, no, I was writing in comments, and one said, yeah, you need a 50 lens for portrait. And I said, yeah, but only if it's APS-C, not if it's full frame. And he said, no, if you have APS-C or full frame, 50 is always 50. And I said, technically, yes, you get kind of the same picture, but if you want to have the same like content in the picture, you need to move closer. And then, of course, the picture changes because you change the perspective onto the object you photograph. So this is why you have 85 for full frame and not 50, and you have 50 for APS-C and not 85. Technically, they do the same if you are the same distance from the object, but if you want to have the same framing of the object, it's different. And so this is why 85, you have to step further away, and then you get something similar again, right? So that could be really interesting as videos, right? And other things, right? And where's the next thing that I have been maybe missing? I'm tired of reading. I seem to more advertising. Yeah, okay, I read that already. So I feel the same. Yeah, right. Cheat card was helpful. What is the cheat card? Let me know what that is. Cheat card. Sandra says that talking about technical aspects, that is the base, but taking the project to the next level, drawing in the artistic element. Every art form needs a base, but the artistic is the medium to make the art. Yes, absolutely. I see the same, right? I see the same. There's often, not often, but sometimes I get comments from people who are very, very avid about their technical, like the technical precision. And I understand that, but I'm not part of that kind of philosophy. My philosophy is to do things that look good, not things that are done right. So if I need to do things wrong to get the look I want, I do them wrong. I don't have to follow some rules, right? Of course, if there's a thing that makes it easier for me to do things and it's technically also the right way, then of course, yes, sure. And I'm always also open to learn things, but I don't have to stick to something just because this is the way it has to be done, right? If I get a better result otherwise, let's just do it otherwise, right? So I completely agree to that. Right? So basically artistic, could we say here like, should I write experimenting here, like playing with artistic ideas. So that's good. Playing / learning, playing with and learning about artistic ideas. This is actually also what you learn in art school, is to think critically about your own art. Ken says, I'm still at the level where I have a vision or image in my mind where I see the shot, but have yet to be able to translate the camera settings and post-production into the image I want. That is actually pretty difficult. That's true. Yes, to have like an idea. Do you sketch? Like, do you make like sketch drawings before from the idea? How do you like capture the idea so you like know what you wanted to do and then do the process and then do the editing so you don't forget what the idea was, right? How do you do that? Do you do sketching? Okay, working with ideas and try to reach the result you envision. That's also a very good point to do that, right? Also to look at other works, right? And see how did they do that? How is it like possible to do that? Like always, I thought like lighting, for example, is very difficult, and probably it is if you want to do it like really technically perfect. But artistically, to get interesting light is actually not really that difficult if it's not like super complex light. I didn't like a ton of experimentation with that, but if you have one or two lights, you can get a lot of interesting dramatic lights in there. And after all, it's basically kind of physics, right? So light is light. Light is always falling in a straight line. I'm not talking about lenses here or other stuff you put in front of the light, but like usually it comes in a straight line. And so you can kind of figure out where does it have to be. And once you figure that out, it's kind of the same process, right? So a little bit the same with parking. I found like parking a car is a process that's technically always the same. Not that I have years of experience. Like I said, I just made my driving license. But once you figure out where exactly things have to be in relation to your car, it's always the same thing because the car is always the same car, right? So there can't be any change. The physics is limited to what you actually have, right? There's no like two ways to do that. Wait a second. Design says at the same time I'm trying my hand at macro photography with extension rings. Extension rings? Does it mean like to magnify these like, what is it, like 1.8 or something, like where you get bigger magnification? Is that what you mean with extension rings? Christian says the link doesn't work. Search for it. No, you can't post links. The cheat card. Oh, okay. Let me see. What is a photo cheat card? Photo cheat card. Ooh, what is this? I've never seen that. Neue Version. Okay. Oh, okay. So it kind of shows you the aperture and then the exposure time and then also the kind of ISO. Wait a second. I have to wiggle my finger here. ISO does not automatically create noise. That's a myth. ISO creates noise in the sense, technically what ISO does is it's amplifying the information that you have hitting the sensor of the camera. So if you have bad information, you're amplifying bad information. But if you have good information, you're amplifying good information. Of course, when you add a lot of ISO, you might get a lot of noise at the same time. But sometimes higher ISO actually gives you a better image than lower ISO because you get, how can I say, you balance the amount of information, the quality of information you have with the amplification of the information you want to create with that, right? How can I explain that? If you have like not too much light, and you use low ISO at the same time, you can actually get more noise than using a higher ISO in that low light situation. Of course, at a certain point, if you get too high with the ISO, you add more noise again. But there's kind of this, like, you have these two lines, they cross somewhere, and it's kind of a how can I say, probably different with different cameras because every camera has different kind of the way the sensor works and the way that you can push the ISO, stuff like that. So it's kind of a experience thing on how much you can get. But anyways, I guess in general, the chart is pretty good still. So yeah, this sounds really interesting here. With the bokeh in the background, stuff like that. So it's also interesting. Yeah. Yeah, so it gives you kind of an idea of what is going to happen. What is this here? Ooh, okay, so kind of a triangle. I've also never seen that. Interesting. So I have to keep that in mind. ISO chart, cheat chart, photo cheat chart. It's probably a good. It's a good card, not chart, card. It's a good starting point at least, right? Let me see. What are the other comments here? I'm falling behind. Sandra says, talking about the technical aspect that is the base, but taking the project to the next level draws in the artistic element. Every art form needs a base, but the artistic is the medium to make the art. I see. Okay. Ken says, I'm still at the level where I'm... Oh, no, I have already read all of that. 1 second. Oh, yeah, we're down here. There's an IN. I don't know what that means. Cheat card blend Hamburger photo spot. Is that the same thing or is it something different? Let's check that out real quick. Oh, it's the same thing. Okay, cool. I see. What is the next one? Design says, after many tries, I've come to conclusion that I'm a photographer who shoots for editing and not for the perfect out-of-camera photo. Same with me. Same with me. There's like these two different kind of philosophies. I'm also someone who shoots for the editing afterwards because I also prefer that. I want to create photographs that are actually like... Of course, there is like vacation photography where I just snap the shots with my smartphone and I don't really care about the quality afterwards because it's just a form of documentation. But then if I actually do photography where I have, like I actually want to create a work with the photo, then the editing and all the process and stuff like that is important. And then I shoot for the processing afterwards, not for the photo in the camera. Which, of course, it's if you're good enough to do that in camera, that's great. And if you're happy with the stuff that's happening in the camera, that's also great, because a lot of things you do in editing you can't do in camera. So it's also different kind of things. And of course, the philosophy of people then say, that's too fake. Why even take a photo? Just do it with AI or stuff like that, because it's so far removed basically from reality. But I don't know, different kind of ideas, right, out there. Sarah says, your ideas talk about playing experience, but before that should be learning the basics of your camera, basic of composition. That is the technical side. You should that be first on the list. That is true. Yes, when you start out, it is better to learn the concepts and the basic knowledge of that, right? And this is, by the way, this is something that bugged me a lot about studying art. Because in art, they often in art universities, they tell you, well, we don't know what art is going to be in like, I don't know, 20 years when you're like an artist. So we can't really teach you. So you have to find out for yourself what art is. I always found that's kind of a stupid concept. It's better to actually learn the basic concepts and how to do the basic things. And then you can break these rules afterwards. But just like a certain basic understanding, like you have in school, basically. We learn a lot of things in school that we will never use afterwards, but we have learned them at some point. So this makes us into, to a certain degree, critical thinkers, because people just can't tell us any kind of stupid thing and we have to take it at face value. We can just like say, no, I have learned this years ago. I don't exactly know how that works, but I know that it's kind of like that, you know? So like all this kind of conspiracy stuff and like that. And if you have a little bit of school education, you're like, hey, come on. Everybody knows like the earth is round and stuff like that, right? Because you're not that stupid that you don't understand that basic physical thing, and you even see it in your life. How can you not see that with your own eyes, right? It's just like in front of you that things bowl up into a ball if they have the chance to, right? Anyways, that's not about photography, but you know what I mean. So that's kind of the basics are important. So you have a basic understanding on how things are actually done, and then you can progress from there. So that's pretty important. That's true. So the basic concepts, so basics of light and, well, light shadow, basically light shadow composition. What else did you say? That was a good list. Basics of composition. You should be learning about the basics of your camera. Yes, the basics of the camera. Basics of the camera. Again, I think a lot of people even don't know that, right? They have never actually looked through what their camera does or what it can do, technically. I I think a lot of people, even if they have a DSLR or something like that, they just set it to automatic. If it has it, like most consumer cameras have this kind of automatic thing, and then some other programs like night mode or stuff like that, that just like basically gives you the solution, and you just hit the exposure button, right? So you don't really know what the different things can do in the camera and what they are for, right? There's like this kind of sharpness preview and focus peaking and all these kind of things that you can use, right? Or the different modes of stabilization that you have. There's different kinds of focus you have and focus tracking you have, and all these kind of things that can do really interesting things. Or how to get these kind of effects, like you say, I want to have the subject sharp but the background moving, things like that, right? Or like a late exposure flash, right? Where you have a long time exposure but you shoot the flash at the same time, stuff like that. Anyways, let's go back here to the chat. Chris says, I aim for the best composition out of camera. That's why I like zoom lenses. I hate cropping pictures. That is true, yeah. Like the composition, of course, you have to do in camera. It's really hard to change that afterwards. Of course, cropping, yes, you can crop that, but a lot of the part of composition is also how you hold your camera, right? The angle or where you are positioned with your camera, or how high the camera is. You can't change that afterwards, so that's a little bit difficult to do that. Also, yeah, you're right. Like, of course, when you zoom into, you see what you photograph, while when you're cropping afterwards, it's kind of a different process. Although I personally think there should be a lot more overlays. I'm really not happy with this state, with the way that cameras, how can I say, evolve? Not evolve, but how little effort they put into the things you can do on screen with digital cameras today, apart from smartphones, which really try to do the most possible. But the cameras, the specific cameras you can buy, very little information on the screen, very little ways you can change that. You can't load LUTs, you cannot put overlays, you cannot show different kind of screen formats blended over the camera, so you can see where the safe areas are, stuff like that, you know. There could be a lot more. Can you actually see what I've written on the screen? I think we need to make this a little bit wider. Let's fit this. So I think now it's better. Okay, let's go on. Sandra says, as you, I have a master in fine art. Really? Wow, that's awesome. And the first 2 years was copying old masters. So I guess you studied painting, right? This is where you are more likely to do that. Learning color theory, learning composition, all before the one teacher even let us do anything original. That's interesting. Okay, so this is kind of a different way to study art. Did you study in the US? Maybe it's different there than in Europe. Or I don't even know, but like Europe, maybe it's different in different countries. Like I only know Germany and Austria for studying modern art. And there they just say, do whatever. You do have art history and color theory and how do you say, anatomic sketching and stuff like that. You have that, but you don't need to do that, right? So it's kind of it's up to you if you want to learn that, right? So that's a little bit, I don't know. The camera manuals are daunting to read. That's interesting. Yeah, they can be. I guess they can be. Yeah. Of course, they're not very interesting to read. That's true. I always like to read manuals, but yeah, if you're not that technically interested to see what each button is doing, it can be very boring to find that out. In the US, but some in Europe. I see. Wow. So you studied on different continents even. That's pretty impressive. Very nice. Okay. Can I ask how long ago you studied and what kind of like painting you did? Like, was it like abstract painting or figural painting or I don't know, monochrome painting? What kind of thing or did you even stay with painting? Because today a painting class, I'm just assuming it's painting, but today painting class can be anything. You can do photography or film or installation or performance, whatever you want, even if you are in a painting class, at least like in the countries where I studied, right? Yeah, so, and of course painting can be a lot of things, right? Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of very good points. What was the last one? I forgot. Composition out of camera. Oh yeah, with the zoom lenses, right? With the zoom lenses, that's true. Although I think a good process can be at the beginning to have less zoom, right? To have a lens, maybe even a fixed lens that has just like a prime lens, right? You have just one focal length, or one that has a very limited zoom range, because if you have that just for the exercise purpose, it forces you to figure out how to photograph just with that how can I say, just with that area you can photograph. And limitation is a very good way to spark creativity, because the more you're limited, it gives you less choice, and less choice means you have to explore the abilities you have with these few choices, and that then in turn makes you more creative by expanding on these few choices, right? So if you can't zoom at all, you have to figure out, how can I take a photo with just that? Do I move around in the shot? Do I hold my camera differently? What should be in the, like, what kind of different elements are there to play with in that shot, right? So you really have to figure out what is actually happening in front of the camera with these limited, like, ways you can shoot a photo, right? Rather than when you have a big zoom range, you can go from wide angle to a telephoto that has just a small part of the building or just the head of a sculpture. So you have a million ways in between to photograph only the one scene you see in front of you. But if you only have one, like, you can't zoom at all, and you stay, let's say, stationary on that point, you're very limited in what you can do. So you have to figure out, how can I now still make the photo interesting? So you have to think about the content of the photo. That's actually a very interesting way to learn about that. So I can really suggest to you, get a cheap prime lens. In APS-C, often it's like 50 millimeters, right? You can also, if you have a full frame camera, you can buy a 50 millimeter APS-C lens and then switch your camera to APS-C, so you actually have the same thing basically, and it's about $100 or something, probably manual at that price point. But with that, you can really, like, you know, learn how to shoot like that. Let me see. Sandra says 50 years landscape figure in animals. Wow, okay. Unfortunately, I did not have enough talent to make a living, to wound up being an accountant and then programmer, which actually can be very creative. Yeah, that's totally okay. And it doesn't have to do anything with talent, believe me. In art, it's very much about, I think you basically need to be a business person to be successful in art, because art is basically, it's just a business, right? Like everything else is. And no matter how creative you are and how good you are, it doesn't mean you have success. There's a lot of people who are really good at things, and then there's people who are really famous for their art and really successful with their art. And it doesn't mean they are the same people, right? They certainly have something special about them. So they are also good, but you have to be good and a business person at the same time to make that happen, or at least have someone who does the business stuff for you, right? So it's really, really hard to make money with art, right? As you can see with me, I studied art, I don't do art. So yeah, it's not easy to do that, right? I bought a book for my 750D, and the book contained a PDF too. I watch videos on YouTube to learn more. Interesting. That's also an interesting thing. By the way, I've never bought a book for a camera. How is the book different from what you have in the manual already? Like, what is there the manual is free, so what else could there be in the book that is not, or is it like creative things that are not specific with that camera, or is it like tricks you can do with the camera that are not apparent from the manual, where they say, okay, if you combine these kind of settings with that camera, you can do this kind of thing with that, right? Is it that kind of like sparking creativity? Is this the reason for that? Sandra says, Chris, yes, thank goodness for YouTube. Today, I think YouTube today is one of the biggest like online universities ever. You can learn basically everything you want in a very like even in a very good depth. So that's pretty good. And I think only at a certain point when you want to have very specific answers, or let's say answers to very specific questions, you hit a limit. But I've also found out that if you buy courses online, you don't get more information. I was really surprised about that. And maybe I shouldn't say that because I'm also making online courses that I'm selling. The thing with a course is to save my business. No, the thing with the course is that it combines the information. You don't necessarily learn anything new, although there is almost always there are some bits in there you have never heard before because they come from the experience of that artist. But what is actually the most important part about an online course is that it combines everything into a workflow. And this is the hard thing to see from the outside. If you're inexperienced, you have all these little videos that give you the information, but you don't know how to combine these videos together into a workflow that makes sense. And this is where the online workshop actually like shows you the process from start to finish. So you don't necessarily learn something new, but you learn the experience on how to combine that, and it's actually as valuable, right? But of course, still, YouTube is amazing for learning. It's much more detailed. The book is much more detailed than the manual. Maybe I should buy a book. That would be interesting. It would also be good to learn how these books are written, right? Manuals are pretty general. That's true. They just tell you this button does this, and even not in a very long explanation. They just expect you to know what that means at that point. So that's true. Binder Verlag. Okay, interesting. Sandra says, yes, books are much more detailed and have examples where the manual just gets a lot of information without clarity. Oh, that's interesting. Yes. That is true. Yeah. This is also, yeah, that's true. Like, I also have found often in my life that knowing information doesn't mean you can use that information, right? Because the real knowledge comes from combining information with experience to actually use that, right? To actually make something out of that. Just because you know, okay, this is doing that, doesn't mean you can actually use it for anything or in any purposeful way. And often the interesting thing is, if you have people with a lot of experience, like I think this is the difference between bad teachers and good teachers. Bad teachers can talk for hours about things, and you don't really understand or learn much about that because they say it in such a general way that you're like, I don't know what that means, right? And then you have good teachers and they tell you like 2-3 sentences and you're like, oh yes, I've never understood it like that, right? Like for example, of course for me, because I make videos, how to make a good video is a very important part of like getting better. And I have heard over years so often, so many times, every good video has a story arc, and then it gets more interesting over time, and then you reach that top level and then it goes down. And it's not just true for stories, it's also true for when you do education, stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, but what does it mean? What is an arc? How do you build an arc with knowledge? How do you, like, a brush doesn't become more interesting in a 10-minute video from when you say it's a brush and show what a brush does. It paints on the canvas. How do you do that? What does that mean? You know? And then I saw one video And then that one video, the guy said, the difference is you want to have the expectation at the beginning. So there's a certain expectation the viewer has. And then what is the expectation, or what is the feeling that the viewer should have at the end of the video? So there is a different state in between. They came with this kind of lack of knowledge, and then they want to go away with this kind of new experience that they have gained through the video. And this is basically the arc where you connect these 2 points, right? And that was like, yeah, that's it, right? This is how you do it with education. People come with this problem, and then you want to give them something where you say, yes, this has solved it for me. And also it makes me feel great because it's a way to look at it that I've never seen before, right? That's how to do that, right? And so like, wow, this is how to actually turn information into knowledge at that point, right? Because arc, what is arc? Doesn't mean anything, arc, right? Okay, let's go back to the comments. Going to monologue mode again here. Let's see, what does it say? Learning photography basic essentials. Don't be frightened of shooting in manual once you learn and master exposure triangle. So you know the triangle. I've never seen that before. I have to check that out. The exposure triangle. I have to actually put this in here. Oh, wait a second. This is not what I want to do here. Without formatting. There we go. This is also not what I want to do. Sorry. 1 second. There we go. Exposure triangle. It will really open things up. Yes, absolutely. That's interesting. Ian says courses should be structured to teach the correct order. That's true. Yes, absolutely. Sandra says, in your videos, you explain things that you say you don't use just in case the viewer may use it. I have taken courses where the instructor says they don't use a feature, so they won't explain it. Really? Oh, interesting. They don't what? They don't use it, so they don't explain it? Interesting. That is very strange. But do I say in my videos I don't do that, but I show it? I mean, yeah, for some videos that's true. Where I know that there are things that you want to know about, so I research them and I make a video out of that, even though it's not something I often do, which is not like the common thing. It's just like an exception where I say, okay, let's look into how to do that actually. Like, for example, focus stacking. I make that one video, which is very basic. I think I'll even point it out that this is kind of a basic thing, basic method I'm doing, but I just like, I tried it out. I'm not usually using focus stacking, but it was interesting to research that, to make a video about that. So that it's probably an example for that. JB says, I do a lot of editing with photos combined in videos. So the only thing I focus on in background, foreground, and middle ground when I shoot, if I'm creating effects, then it's light and distance. I have to read that again. I'm not sure what you mean. I do a lot of editing with photos combined in video. What does it mean? Is it like a slideshow? So the only thing, oh, do you mean like in After Effects, you layer the photos, so you create like a, this kind of, what is it called? The movement illusion is the, I can't remember. Focus on the background, foreground, and middle ground when I shoot. If I'm creating effects, then it's light and distance. I think you have to explain that better. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Mickey says, I have an account with viewing bug, and it took me a while for me to get awards. Viewing bug. Oh, I thought your account doesn't work. Viewing bug is like a online award kind of page. With my photos, I get out there and practice and practice. That's interesting. I was never a person to go for any kind of awards. In hindsight, I think maybe I should have done that. But, wait, nope. NFTs, okay, interesting. Oh, hey, there's another news, by the way. When I come back from my trip, I'm going to start with NFTs. Because I thought, why not try it, right? I'm not a fan of them. I don't really understand what I do, but I think they have improved it a little bit in the sense of how like energy consuming it is. at least as far as I understood that. And I saw that you can do that with photography too. So I was like, could be interesting. Because if you think about like photo books, or how do you publish books today, right? Does anybody still buy photo books? And when, like, it's I think very rare occasions where I would buy a photo book, actually. It had to be like something really special I'm interested in topic-wise, but usually I wouldn't. Because you have a screen. If I have a 50-inch screen in my room, why do I need a small book to look at it? Like, and often in the book, it's not even covering the page. It's just like just like a small part of the page is the actual photo. And like, really? And then also they lose the quality from the colors over time. So NFTs might be an interesting way to sell photos, right? To make a photo like a project, and then to give people a way to acquire these. And also the benefit is that people can still buy them if they want to own them, but then also they can look at them for free and have the same quality. They don't lose anything, which I find is, for me at least, is an important part of art, to have it free for everybody. And then only the people who say, hey, I want to support that art, or I want to have that art, I want to own that art, they can spend money on that, right? I find it's a really good way to do art, right? So it stays open for the public, but at the same time can become a collector's item. And at the same time, like I said, don't really understand NFTs, but yeah, we all have to learn, right? Anyways, me not my. Mickey says, okay, and then yeah, it can be. This has, to be honest, this has an upside and a downside. Like, the upside is you can get feedback on your shots with these kind of pages, and of course you can build up your own self. How can I say, self-worth? That sounds a little bit depressing, but you know what I mean. Like, you get more self-secure with your art by winning these prizes and awards. But on the other hand, these awards push your art into a certain direction, and if you want to have more of these awards, you have to basically photograph in that way to get them. So you get maybe pushed into the aesthetic that this community from that page prefers, which might not be your own aesthetic. And also it might not mean that it is, how can I say, artistically adventurous, you know what I mean? Or artistically very individual, because of course people like what they know, and what's how can I say, what attracts them, which doesn't mean it's actually something that might be, how can I say, think about pop music, or no, let's think about fast food. A lot of people like fast food, like pizza and burgers. It doesn't mean specifically that's a good kind of food, but a lot of people like it because it's just tasty, and it's easy to consume it, right? So it's the same with these, all of these kind of. I'm not saying your art is fast food. That's actually not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, look at the community and look at the art that they like and that they rate and that they give awards for, and see if this is actually lining up with your understanding, so you don't get pushed into a direction that they find good, but maybe you don't find good. This is what I'm actually trying to say. So there's different kinds of communities out there, right? Okay, Sandra says, yes, you do say it, but still explain. And yes, other instructors won't. Okay, that's interesting. What I really don't like about instructors is, like, in school, very rarely you have the teachers who say, I don't give you the best grade because it can't be perfect. I really, like, that makes me so angry to see that, because they basically destroy the future of their students just because they are ignorant and arrogant in that sense. And a grade is not there for rating something that's perfect. If it was about perfection, then the grading system would be different, right? It's just a stupid thing to say, I can't give you the best note because it can't be perfect. The best note isn't about perfection, right? That's absolutely nonsense, right? The best grade is about hitting the goal. That's all that is required. There's a lot more you can do, but hitting the goal is just like the basic requirement, right? Basically. So that's absolutely nonsense. Anyways, let's go on with the. JB says, in other words, resolution and the key. What? Resolution is the key factor and where everything will be placed. Resolution is the key factor. You have a very interesting way of wording things. What does it mean? Like the resolution is like the pixel resolution? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Is the key factor and where everything will be placed. So the composition, you would probably need to understand video editing programs like Adobe Premiere and Final Cut Pro to understand. Resolution is the key factor. So we are talking about video. Oh, so you said I do a lot of editing with photo combined in video. So the only thing I focus on is the background, foreground, and middle ground when I shoot. If I'm creating effects, then it's light. And I think I still don't understand what you mean by that. I'm sorry. Resolution is the key factor. When you want to crop into that, or like, I'm a bit confused. I'll get a book about my camera. That's just about it. Okay. Sandra says, yes, the community is important. I posted the same picture on 3 sites and got 3 different reactions. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hi, Reaper. How are you doing? Interesting username. He says, hello, been following you on YouTube videos on Affinity Photo Software for 2 years. Wow, that's nice. Now, and I have learned so much from your videos. Thank you so much. First, I've made it to your live stream. Hi, thanks for joining. That's awesome. Inner City says, create your own work, create your own style, create online content in the hope of getting likes from particular communities is generally a negative approach. Yeah, it can be very daunting to do that, right? It can be very difficult to do that because, especially if you create things for the likes, you are basically bound by that in a certain way, right? Because it's if you would do it for that currency, you know that some things get more likes, so you do these things more, right? Which is actually a concept. If you're a content creator, you have to figure out there is 3 different types of content you can create, basically, right? And so one is let me think about it. Okay. So the main thing you do usually is your, like, let's call it average content, right? So the quality you always do, right? So you want to keep that on a high level and always basically on a similar level. So there's not like ups and downs in the quality. It has to be the same kind of thing. Then there is basically fan service, where you do something specifically for your community. Like there is like things that the community requires or needs, or is an inside joke, or you know specifically your community kind of likes that. It doesn't give you more exposure, but it gives you more connection to your community. And then it's called, I think, what is it called? Hero content. Hero content is when you create content where you know it gets a lot of attention. You don't do that too often. Because it requires a lot of effort, but you think that this is going either viral or it gets a lot more views, which means content-wise it's rather very shallow, because it is created to reach as many people as possible, but at the same time it is very interesting, right? Because you want to, again, get as much attention as possible, which is the moment where you try to gain new followers and new people to your community. Because over time, if you have the problem that only your community is watching your content, at that point you don't grow anymore, right? So you always have to figure out the balance between creating something that's interesting for the people you already have in your community and the people you want to add to your community. And also you have to always be growing, because if you don't grow, if the number keeps the same, you're actually losing people, because not everybody's watching your content anymore, right? So if the number stays the same, you're constantly losing interest because people go away over time, not because your quality is worse, but just because they have other things to do in their life. So it's really interesting with these kind of concepts of different kind of content types. Yeah. For me, by the way, the most difficult thing, this is what I want to learn next month when I go to LA for this VidCon, is how do you do hero content? Because one of the main problems I have with my content is no matter how good the video is, it almost never gets shared. And that's a problem. I don't know how to create shareable content, right? No matter how good the quality is, it's not about quality. This is the main thing I already know. It's about the content, not about the quality of the content. So there has to be something that is getting shared. There's a reason why things are getting shared. I don't grasp with my mind right now why things are getting shared. Of course, I don't do sensational things, right? So maybe that would be a thing, right? But I'm not really like the type for that. I don't know. But I have I'm you have seen I've restructured my videos. Sorry that I'm going a little bit off from that, from photography to my own videos. Let's talk about that for a second. So you have seen that I've changed my content a little bit. I get rid of the intro. I jump right into the topic. I start with a teaser. I have a little bit more sound effects, which not everybody likes. I have more like B-roll, or not really a B-roll, but like putting pictures in there, stuff like that. And this actually, when I look at the statistics, keeps up the attention of the viewer, which is really important for not only for me, but also for YouTube. Of course, I like it because people actually watch more of the video. Because for me, if I make a video and people don't watch half of it, I have basically wasted my time for half of it. I want people to actually see the full video. So it makes a lot of sense. And these things, even if you think, well, they are kind of basic and they are kind of stupid, they actually work. It's really interesting. Because it keeps the attention for longer. Our mind just likes to go to other things that are more interesting, right? We are built mentally for things that are always changing. That's a very interesting concept. And the reason for that is you can do a very simple test where like how do you actually test that? It's very simple. Like if something is not moving, it's really hard to see that. And as soon as it starts moving, it grabs your attention immediately, right? So changes are things that keep automatically our attention. Something has to be changing. From what I've learned, it's like every 8 seconds. I'm not sure if I'm doing that. I don't think I do as of yet. But yeah, it's really interesting that it works like that. I'm not photography. I can't talk about like if there is something similar. There's something similar in art because you have to keep the attention of your fans, basically, if you're an artist, of your collectors, of your like the people who follow you as an artist. If it's get boring, people are not interested anymore. Okay, let's go back to the comments here. Sorry, it was a little excursion into the world of social media. Maybe that's also interesting. I have, by the way, I have zero like knowledge about how to build a photo account, like on Instagram or something. I have no idea about that. Like there's people who photograph themselves 1,000 times and they have millions of followers. I'm like, why? How is it like, why do you want to see that person again and again and like different kind of poses around their city or whatever? Like, that's interesting, really? Okay, I don't know. So people have different interests. Where did I left off here so I don't miss out on any kind of comments? Okay, this is I've read. I'm a gamer, so my users came from the video game. Oh, you do like you do let's play videos? Like do you like do videos or do you do live stream with gaming? I tried that. I tried that years ago. I think I wasn't too bad. I gained some followers, but not enough. And then I kind of like I tried all kinds of different things and then I lost the followers again. Because and now I know you have to stick to what you do. Back then I played any kind of game I found interesting, and of course people run away. They want to see you play one game and that's it. And then maybe add a second game sometimes later, right? What do you play? Yeah, let me know what you play. If you play Warzone and stuff like that, we maybe could like play together sometime. Sandra says, what are the best camera lenses to take backpacking as space is limited? It's actually an interesting question. Yeah, so let me write that down here. There we go. Oh, by the way, this is another thing. I found out that my talking live streams get more attention than the live streams where I actually do photo editing. Maybe because I already do a lot of photo editing or stuff in my tutorials. So yeah, this is why the last streams have mostly or all of them have been talking. I will do some photo editing too, of course, but the talking ones are actually more interactive. So it might be more interesting. Mainly console, but have you played on console or PC? Okay, interesting. So you stream from the console, really? Interesting, nice. A lot of people do that, I think, which is surprising, because of like there is less things you can do with the stream on the console, right? Or do you capture it with a PC so you have all of these overlays and stuff? Maybe that's also the thing, because in the I don't know, maybe the PlayStation 5 has more things, like you can have overlays for donations and all these kind of things, unless you only record your gameplay and then make videos afterwards in video cutting software. For the popping. Yeah, the popping, not too many people like the popping. I'm not sure if I will like not do it anymore, but I will like tone it down. It's too loud in the last video and there was too much popping. But actually it's really helpful, because when I watch the video afterwards, every time it pops up, it actually like gives you an audio cue that something important is happening on the screen. And so you actually the overlay, the zoomed in overlay gets more importance just because of that popping sound. You're like focused at that moment for a second, and it's only on the screen for like 5 seconds, so that's okay. And you're focused on that, so actually your mind is more concentrated of why and what is happening there, and you remember it afterwards better. Maybe I have to look for another sound, I'm not sure. 3-second intro will work. I at the beginning, when I changed my video, sorry that I'm talking about my channel so much, I had the intro like very short, just my website and then just the subscribe button. But I thought, first of all, the website isn't there anymore. I have to like rebuild that maybe. But why do I need people on my website, right? I was like, there's actually no reason. I don't really update my website, so why do I actually promote that in a video? It doesn't make sense. And then I also figured out that I have never in my life subscribed to a channel because there was a subscribe button on the screen. Either I like the channel and I subscribe to it, or I don't. It doesn't really do anything. What does help is to remind people to like the video, because often I also forget. And then when I have a very good video and the guy in the video says, hey, if you enjoyed that, please subscribe. I should do that during the video, by the way, not at the end as I do right now. I actually do that because I'm like, yeah, sure. I forgot. I wouldn't have done it otherwise, but now I'm doing it. Okay, let's go back to photography actually. Sorry, I got really sidetracked. Sandra says making pictures larger and circle the cursor helps follow what is going on. It is hard sometimes to see where the cursor is and when the instructor is going from one feature to another. Circling. Yeah, the circle is really good. I kind of went away from this kind of zoom function that I also have in that kind of software, because it would put the zoom window anywhere on the screen. I didn't have much control over where the zoom window went, and sometimes I didn't know that it's like is kind of behind me because my camera is overlaid on the screen. So now I do it manually afterwards, which is a lot more work to do, but at the same time it looks better and gives me more control. Mickey says, what camera do you use for photography? I have a Nikon and a Canon. I was a Nikon photographer in the past, and then I changed to Sony, mainly for the reason that I needed a new good camera anyways, and I wanted to have a really good camera. And most of my friends had Sony cameras, so I thought if I do that, and then I can interchange lenses, and we can interchange equipment. So that sounded like a good idea. Also, I like the way that the photos look from Sony, right? And I like also Nikon. I think for my taste, Canon photos are a little bit too warm, but they are also good. Like, it's just a very small difference. Nikon makes it a little bit cooler. I like that. And Sony is somewhere in the middle. It's not too warm, it's not too cool. And it has a kind of a crispness, right? I think like Sony photos are, I don't know how to explain that. They just feel a bit crisper. They feel a bit different than Nikon and Canon do, which both have very nice qualities. My mother is a Canon photographer. Her photos are amazing and very nice and beautiful and warm and organic, and everything is very, very nice. Yeah, but I just decided to go with Sony. Also, the orange appealed to me that you have on the camera. Kind of a small thing, but anyways. Yeah, and I don't use Sony lenses. I only use Sigma lenses, at least at the moment. I think like the Sony lenses are kind of overpriced. And also the Sigma lenses are, from what I have read in reviews, they are a smidge better and at the same time a lot cheaper. So yeah. Reaper says, I play games, I don't stream. Okay. But I do mod of streamers. Oh, okay. And I done custom designs for streamers. That's interesting. If you're a mod for a streamer, like what is the requirement? Like, do you meet with them like in a Zoom call or something before the stream? They tell you, today I'm doing this and that, and I don't know, these kind of things. And do you get paid for being a mod? If you can disclose that, of course. If you don't, that's also okay. But I'm just like generally interested. Do mods do that just for fun? Because they have to be there during the stream, and sometimes it takes like 10 hours for a stream. So do you get paid for that, or is it just like something you do out of fun? JB says, I'm thinking about making animated emotes for people on Twitch. I just don't know if there is a high demand for them. There probably is. If you're good at that, I mean, you can at least try and see if you can sell it to them. I guess there is a demand for that, because everybody has these kind of emotes, and yeah, if you want to have them, especially like if it's big streamers, they pay thousands of dollars for their channel design. That's really, really expensive, more than I thought it would be, because I saw a video about a guy who's doing that, and I thought, hey, I could like maybe need an external design, because I have my perspective on the channel, but maybe they have a better, different understanding about me, looking at me from the outside. But it was so expensive. I was like, no way, no way. I'm spending that amount of money on just like a bunch of icons and stuff. I understand it's like a full process and everything, but it's really expensive. Project turnout. She isn't finished yet with the architecture project. Yeah. It's still going backwards and forwards. People are always looking for people who can do emotes. See? Good market, good niche. I have been a mod for about 7 years. Oh, wow, that's a lot. Okay. By the way, we should go back to the photography topic. Or should we just stay with that topic? It seems like a lot of people are interested in that. It doesn't have anything to do with my channel, but or with photography, but we can still talk about that if you like to. Oh, by the way, we have already talked 1.5 hours, so we should also do the weekly challenge. Let me switch over here for a second, and then I can find the weekly challenge. This time it was this kind of text effect. So let's figure that out. Let me find that real quick. Let me close this. And then, ooh, wow. Okay, awesome. So there we go. By the way, oh, there's very little entries this week. Is it like the recent challenges are not that interesting, or what is the reason for not too many interests? Not too many entries. Sorry. Is it not that interesting, the challenges that I do, or is it like people don't have much time for that anymore? Because of, I don't know, it's spring and summer and stuff like that. What is the reason for that? Because you can see here, it's just like a bunch of, it's actually just four entries. Okay. So, yeah, should I do like other things as in the past, or I don't know. Let me know. I guess this topic wasn't super interesting. I thought it would be because it's a nice effect. Maybe it was too simple. It was too boring for most people. I don't know. Jean-Loup. Very nice. Thanks. With my name. Pretty cool. Okay. With the olives, of course. Why not? So this is the original photo. Is it maybe, was it too boring, the task, the challenge to do that? I find it interesting because you learn a little bit about the structure inside of the image. Sandra says, could be that after 2 years of being stuck in home, they can now get out. So they're enjoying the freedom. Yes, probably. Yeah. And also, like, they expect, there's, have you read that? I've read online about, what is it called? Revenge traveling or something like that. I is a very kind of media sensationalist title, revenge traveling. I don't know why you would call it like that, but it's just like saying that people want to travel more again, or even more than they ever had now, because they have been stuck at home for such a long time. So they just want to do something extravagant and maybe spend more money because they said, hey, I haven't traveled for 2 years. I've saved up all my travel budget. So now I'm doing a really expensive cruise or something like that. I wouldn't call it revenge, but I can understand, right, to do this. It's vacation time. Yeah, probably. Time issue and the weather conditions going into the winter. Going into the winter? So I guess you're from Australia or something, like south of the equator, right? Because here it's like going into the summer. Okay. But yeah, very nice. I'm not sure why you did these kind of green or yellow edges here. But yeah, interesting. And also, it's some, like, specifically here, I'm not sure if this is a mistake or if it's by design, but you can see that this L here on the top is a little bit transparent for some reason. So maybe you wanted to put that leaf in front, but then decided later to put it in the back. Really interesting. Very nice. Yeah. You can, you have, I mean, it looks very good. You can have it have a little bit more effect if you paint in a bit more shadows here, a bit darker shadows. Also, don't forget about the shadows that the letters make on the leaves, because often it's it's obvious to have the shadows below the leaves when they go over the font, but then the font is also going over the leaves. You can see over here. And there should also be a little bit of shadow there. And also think about the distance of the leaf in relation to the size of the shadow. Of course, the closer the font is to the leaf, or the leaf is to the font, the sharper and closer or thinner is the shadow. And when it's further away, it gets softer a little bit, right? Also think about the direction of the shadow. That's another thing that's important, because you can see here that in some regards, like over here, you have a soft shadow that's coming from the top left side. The light is coming from here going this direction, so you have a shadow here on that side. But here you have a shadow that is sitting on top of the leaf, indicating that the light is coming from the lower left, so from down here upwards. So there shouldn't be a shadow here. Maybe there should be a little bit of shadow here where the leaf is bending. But yeah, not up here. That's the wrong direction. Also not up here. Maybe this is also part of the selection you did, and maybe we see a little bit of the background. Let's see the original photo. No, actually, not. Or I don't think so. Another thing to look out for here is the sharpness of the leaf gives you a certain indication how far it is away from the camera, or how close it is to the camera. So of course, with the depth of field, things are When they are further away, so they are out of the focus area, they are getting blurred. And when they are too close to the camera, they are also getting blurred. So when you have a very narrow depth of field, then things that are a little bit closer to the camera can already be blurred. Maybe it's the case here with this leaf. You can see it is a little bit blurry, and then this one looks very sharp. It could also be motion blur. I'm not completely sure with this image, but you can see that this is basically in front and it's blurred, and this is in the back and it's sharp. Here you see it a little bit better. So maybe this, if this is, you know, the font should maybe be in between these two, right? So it's kind of a Egypt, really? Oh, okay, in Egypt. Ah, from New Zealand. There we go, from New Zealand. Yeah, that's winter is coming. Yeah, that's true. That's nice. Yeah. Inner City says, for me, it's finding the time to do things outside of everyday commitments and my own work. I see. Okay. So maybe we should do some photo challenges where you take pictures rather than editing pictures. Maybe that's a good idea. Here we have the next one from Chris. Let's have a look at that. Oh, interesting. So here the shadow is on the right side. It's the original shadow from these. Is it? How would you call these? It's not twigs because they are like, this is the whole plant. So arms, would you say arms? What's the right word for these? So that's pretty good. Also how you blended that on there. I think I've made a video that shows you how to bend the font onto the surface, right? I'm not quite sure. Let me see. What is it called? That kind of effect is called displacement. I think I made several videos about that. Ah, yeah. Here's one displacement effect where I have a second method, and this was the first one. So this one probably works better, the second one. Displacement effect fixed. Check that out. And there it gives you a good way to do it, especially when it is on a wall like this, so that the text is going like following the unevenness of the wall. In this regard, everything is behind the text. The text is behind everything. So there wasn't like much of putting it in front or back to have this kind of 3D effect. So that's kind of missing here. But at the same time, you did a very nice selection so that the text is actually behind that. A thing you can do here, by the way, is that you can make the text more weathered by using, for example, a crunch overlay as a mask. Should I show you real quick? We can do that. Let's go to Unsplash here and then go here to Wall. Let's take this, for example. I will show you real quick. 1 second. Let's go here, new from clipboard. And then what we also need is a grunge overlay. Let's take this one here. Okay. So now what we are doing is we are creating a text here. Let's say hello, like so. Maybe make this bold so we see the text even better. Okay. And so now the way to create that crunch effect, let's zoom in here so we can see that better, is that let's turn this on, put it on here. Now we say mask to below. Actually, no. Before we do that, we need to stretch this on the size of the font so it's covering everything. Good. So now we say mask to below. And first of all, we don't really see anything because everything is the same. But let's do this back again. You can see that there is different brightnesses in here. There's some bright parts, there's some dark parts here. So that means when I now use my blend ranges, I can hide certain parts of that. As you can see here, I can hide the dark parts and I can hide the bright parts, right? So when we do this, right click, mask to below. Now it's everything is used as the mask, all of the pixels. But when I go in here and I now say source layer ranges, I can adjust this and you can see that now this is basically giving me a mask based on the brightness in the image. And like that, you can use grunge to create a mask that has this kind of, what did I say in the beginning? Is it the deterioration of the font? The kind of, yeah, the font like just, what's the name? Withering of the font. You know what I mean, right? So it's a very, very easy way to do that. Could actually be a video. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, so yeah, thank you very much for that. Pretty cool. What's the next one? Oh, there we have one. Do we have the original image? No. Okay, my picture, okay, wouldn't load. Okay, this one. And then we have one more. That's already it. If you did not know the sizes, what? Can you travel much now? Gas prices are high here in the US. Oh, you can't travel much now because of the gas prices, I understand. Okay. Interesting. But is it like, yeah, of course, yeah, I have read that the gas prices actually impact also the cost of tickets and stuff like that, right? Even if you would go with the bus or something, it would still be more expensive, right? Time to go with the bicycle. You can actually, like, it's really amazing. Bike trip, I can absolutely suggest to you, at least if you have a surrounding where it's interesting to ride a bike. Going with the bicycle, take your time. Like, you can go, I don't know, 60 miles a day, or you can just go like 30 miles a day if you want to have it relaxed. One thing I want to suggest to you, at least if you are at a place where you have a lot of trees and it's safe to be around trees because of animals and stuff like that, have a hammock with you, because you can go anywhere you want and you can put up the hammock and you can sit there, you can sleep. It's pretty cool. Even in parks, you go to a park, you put up your hammock and you can just lay there and just like maybe sleep a little bit, which of course with a tent you can't do, and you can't just sleep on a park bench because you look like a bum and the police is coming. But with a hammock, you look like just a guy who is there, and that's good enough. By the way, another trick is if you are in another location, another town, and you want to look like a local, just have a key with you, right? Just have a bunch of keys, like maybe hanging on your trouser. If you have keys with you, you have to be from nearby. Who brings keys to your vacation, right? So maybe you're like a exchange student or something, right? So it's a good trick. Anyways. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Very nice. I would maybe have chosen another text color so that the text is more visible, because it's kind of hard to see. And also, if you want to keep the text color, maybe adjust the colors, especially the green you find in here, adjust it a little bit so you have a better contrast to all of the orange values. We can actually try if we can manage this here real quick. Let's go here, clipboard, make an HSL adjustment, and then you see this is a really simple way, is to just you click here on the green, then you click on the picker and select a specific green. You can see it jumped a little bit, and then you can see I can, for example, adjust the green, make it a little bit more green, maybe desaturate it a little bit, make it a little bit darker, and just like that you can see that you can get a little bit more difference in there. You can see also when I tune this, it also adjusts the yellow I have in my text. So you can adjust these arms here again to maybe pull that out a little bit more. And so now if I do that, yeah, I'm more just in the green area. So let's see, let's pull this down even more. So this maybe could be a thing, you see, where the green is a little bit less present and also it has less yellow in it. So you have a bit more separation between the green parts and the orange parts you find in here. But still the yellow of the text is very similar to the orange you find over here. So you can try, maybe a white text is often good because it has kind of more contrast to the rest, or some other. But the effect is pretty nice. So that's very good. Also with the shadows, you see you painted nice shadows in here and everything. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, very nice. Really awesome. Thank you very much for that. Let's go to the next one. This is actually already the last one from Nicola. Let's see. Ah, okay. So the difficult thing is to get the have a photo that works with the text and then also have a text that like integrates well into the photo. And here for the nature part down here, you see you have some nice overlaps down here. For the connect, there's none. There's just this one in the middle here. So that's a little bit, there could be more overlapping. Of course, I can see that from the photo you've chosen, a lot of things are blurry here in the background, so it doesn't make much sense to put them in front of the text, which is sharp. Also over here there's a problem, and only down here you have these kind of elements that are sharp and can like logically be in front of the text, and down here again these elements are missing. So it's a little bit difficult to find photos that work well. Usually it's the best to have a photo that is photographed right from the top onto something, or if you have something that has on all parts of the image where the text is different distance levels to the cameras. Like for example, like a bouquet of flowers or something like that, right? Could be something. Or if you have leaves photographed right from the top, that's also a way, because then you have a layer that is at a similar height as the text, and then also layers that are different heights of the text, but you find in different parts of the image things that are at the same height, right? That's the important part, because as you can see here, these are on the same height, but then everything here is on a lower height and nothing is on the same height here. And also here in the background, everything is in a like is lower, and you can't pull out anything in front of the text. So that's problematic. Maybe you could have picked some of these parts over here, but they also look more blurred, because if it's photographed a little bit from the side with depth of field, the depth of field is of course reacting to also the distance, not just how low it is, but also how far it is from the lens. And so yeah, it's blurry. And then you have the how do I say, the difficulty that you have a sharp text and a blurry object. So the blurry object cannot be in front unless it's clear that the blur comes because it's too close to the camera. But here you can see that's not the case. So yeah, in that case, you can't do that. All right, there we go. That's all of the entries as far as I can see. Let me reload this real quick. Maybe it was a late entry. I don't think so. Okay, so let me know before we end the stream. Do you think we should do a photo challenge next time, where you don't have to edit anything? I just challenge you to take photos of something, or in an interesting way. Maybe that could be interesting, right? Of course, in that case, it's always difficult to find something that everybody can photograph. Like I can't say beach because not everybody has a beach, or I can't say tree because not everybody lives near a tree, right? So it's kind of what kind of object, what kind of thing could it be? Or we can keep it more general and say just take a nature photo, or take a street photo or something like that. Of course, without people, but if I say a pet photo, not everybody has a pet, right? So you see how limited that is. I can't say take a photo of your home because people don't want to show their home, right? So it's not easy to figure that out. And also it has to be a task that makes the results kind of similar, so we can compare them to each other. And also I have a way to say, I have a way to compare it to something. So the task has to be clear enough so I can say, did you hit or miss the task, so I can actually judge that, right? Which last challenge we had that problem. I say, hey, make the adjustment for the mood, but it didn't ask you to write the mood, so I didn't actually know if you hit the mark or not, and how I can give feedback to that, right? But let me know, is that a good idea? Should we do a photo challenge next time? Maybe that is something more enjoyable and people can get outside at the same time, right? Inner City says, back to photography, Olivia, don't forget film photography is making quite a big comeback. What is film photo? Oh, you mean analog film photography? Just to complicate matters, slow. But you can get a used SLR quite cheap. How about perspective challenge? That could be interesting. Yes, a perspective challenge. That could be very interesting. I will write that down. We can do that. Photo perspective. Can you give me like an example? Like how would you phrase that? What kind of perspective would you ask people to do? Because I know what I think about, but I'm of course that's only my mind. So I would think about like photographing a building in a perspective from below, as I often do, because I like that kind of larger than life aesthetic you get from that. But there's other perspectives, of course, too. Could be a corridor or like a, I don't know, stairs could be interesting. Photographing your pet in a perspective where the snout, the mouth is very close to the lens, and then you have this kind of skewing, perspective skewing that makes them look very cute with the nose so close to the camera. Let me know what kind of thing you think about when you suggest perspective as photography, right? I didn't have a single sip from my tea. There we go. My giant cup is back. Let's have some tea today, not coffee. Wow, there we go. Shots of building, trees, anything that would reflect perspective. Yes, yet animals, a lot of options. Interesting. Okay, but we have to, like, it has to be formulated in a way so it is comparable and I know what you tried to do with the perspective. Or is this just in my mind that it has to be like that, and maybe it doesn't have to be like that? I should actually look into photo challenges. Let me actually look that up real quick, like photo challenge. What is a classic photo challenge? Photo challenge online. What do they usually write if they do that? All photo competitions. Let me see. Monochrome award, interesting. Chromatic photo award. Drone photo award. Okay. ND award. Okay, interesting. Close-up photography of the year. Ocean art. Okay. Chromatic award. So how do they formulate that? International competition of color photography open to both professionals and amateurs participating in the fee, prices, and eligible. Is international blah blah blah. Theme. There we go. Aerial abstract. No, they just list a lot of things. Okay. So it's just color photography, basically. Any kind of color photography. Okay. It's a little bit very open. Oh! In association with Affinity Photo. Hey, I have to switch over. Let me see. No, sorry. There we go. Look at that. Is it still on? Oh, yeah. Deadline the 12th of June. Open for entries. The world in close-up in association with Affinity Photo. Interesting. 10 categories. So they have categories: animals, insects, butterfly, underwater plants, fungi, intimate landscape, man-made, or micro. Cash prize up to £2,500. Not bad, not bad. Okay, cool. Interesting. To professionals and amateurs. No. Of any nationality. Okay, interesting. It's from kupoti.com. Okay, interesting. So, yeah, that could also be interesting to formulate it like that. Is that something you would enjoy? Like I make a challenge like this, photo challenge, in that way, where I say, hey, close-up photography. And then could be anything. We could also formulate it like that, where it could be not categories, because I don't think too many people are taking part in that, but we could like make it open. Could be anything you want. Your challenge could be anything: street, portrait, woodland, macro, nature, pet. Yeah, but yeah, that's, I mean, if someone doesn't have a pet, they are not part of that challenge that week or that month, that week, and then next week they can take part in another challenge. So that would be the end of the world if I say, hey, make a pet photo, and then only people who have a pet can take part, and then next week I say make a beach photo and only people at the beach can take part, right? That would be okay. That would work. Yeah, so let's try this. For next week, we make a photo challenge. I actually like this close-up idea. So maybe I steal that right away. Yeah, it's always better to get inspired by other ideas, if you know what I mean. Why come up with your own ideas if they already put in all of the work? And it sounds good. I like close-up photos, so that would be a good idea, right? And you can take a close-up photo of anything. At the same time, it's an interesting topic. So yeah, well, that could be something, right? Where would I post a photo for the photo challenge? Under the post in my Facebook group. It's always in my Facebook group because Facebook just makes it super easy to make these challenges because you can simply post a photo comment. Not a lot of pages allow that. And also, I know that it's people from my community who are doing that. And of course, it's also free to have a Facebook account. Yes, so it's basically not really limited in any ways. They can borrow their neighbor's pet. That's also a good point, actually. Yeah, just go to the neighbor or go to the park and photograph someone else's dog. I don't think there is copyright on dogs. At least, like, let's pray that we don't get copyright on pet photos, because we have already too much restriction on what you can photograph anyways. Like this, like protection of, I don't know, city skylines. I find it so annoying. City skylines, really, you really have to take that away from people. They can't take a photo of your precious skyline. What is lost at that point? I don't understand, right? Well, who is losing at that point if you take a photo from a city skyline? Even if you sell it, like, really, you still need that bit of money? That's so stupid, and it takes away from the ability of artists to create something. Imagine, like, in the past, we had all of these laws of what you can't do photographically. How many photos couldn't have been taken, right? How many, like, if you would have to have all these kind of agreements and copyrights and data protection and whatever, how many pictures would not exist today because of these stupid rules? Like, everybody thinks their stuff is so, like, protected from what exactly? You know, if it's your private life, I understand that absolutely, right? Don't, like, photograph into the face of someone who doesn't want it. But a city skyline, you know, or like the Eiffel Tower is an artwork at night because of the lighting. Are you kidding me? Well, what's the artwork about that? And why can't I take a photo of that, right? Or the Hollywood sign. Really, I don't get it. Anyways, enough complaining. Chicken, yes, I love chicken. Both as an animal and as a food. I love chicken. All right, there we go. I'm participating in a 52-week assignment. Ooh. All right, every week there is a new photo task to solve. This is actually a good idea. Is it? Maybe it would be maybe very confusing for people if we say, okay, we have like a challenge to, there's a topic for the next 10 weeks. This week is this topic, next week is this topic, but you already know in advance. 52-week assignment. Wow, that sounds very involved. I get fresh eggs. You have inner city chickens, really? On the top of your like house or something? I mean, why not? If it's possible. We need more, like, inner city gardening, right? That's a big thing. Inner city agriculture, is that or inner city farming? City farming, I think, is what's called, like, where people, like, grow things in their home or in their district or stuff like that. That's becoming more interesting, right, for people. You can't beat fresh eggs. We used to keep chickens. Yeah, fresh eggs are really nice. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I learned on my last Thailand trip that in Asia, or at least in Thailand, and I think also Korea and some other countries, they are really fond of eggs in their food. Like it's just like the best thing apparently to have on the bowl in the middle. You have a freshly cooked egg. That's like the top of the thing to have, right? Which is surprising. Like every culture has their thing that has to be there, right? I think in Bavaria for Germans, often it's potatoes, like cooked potatoes. You have them with almost every kind of food. Either it is just cooked or mashed, or like in like little how do you say round cuts or stuff like that. Sometimes fries. I think fries is more like an American thing, although we of course have French fries also in Germany. But like for you wouldn't have French fries for how to say like for a Wiener Schnitzel you actually would have them, but not for like a pork roast or something like that. You have like cooked potato stuff like that. Yeah. Anyways, you know what I mean. Yeah. So they are, and I really enjoy that. It goes well with Asian food. An egg goes really well with Asian food. Yeah. I don't think an egg goes well with a lot of Western food necessarily, right? Why would you have an egg to a steak or something like that? Or you know what I mean? Like you have like pork barbecue and then a cooked egg next to it. You're like, really? What? Why? What's that about? So it kind of it's the combination of what you eat most and what kind of in what shape do you eat that. Scotch eggs are the best. What are Scotch eggs? I have to look that up. 1 second. Ah, ooh, what is that? Scotch eggs. Crushed cornflakes? What? Scotch egg is boiled egg wrapped in sausage meat, coated with breadcrumbs, and baked or deep fried. What? That sounds amazing. Wow, I've never heard that or eaten that. That sounds amazing. It's surrounded with pork? Really? With sausage, sorry, with sausage. And then breaded and fried. Wow, that sounds good. I have to try that. Okay, next week I'm gonna try making Scotch eggs. Interesting. Wow. Yeah. I think it's at some point I need to do a food channel. I love food, especially exotic food from all around the world. Scotch eggs are really nice. Yes, I need to try them. That sounds really great. I've never seen them anywhere. Probably they are on the card, but I didn't know what they are. So isn't there like another egg that's like chocolate that always has it? It also has a title like that. It's not a Scotch egg. It's a something else. Egg, and it's chocolate. Okay. Scotch eggs. Yeah. I think I kind of thought that a Scotch egg is a chocolate egg that is filled with egg liquor, you know, like this creamy egg yellow, like sweet thing. Okay. Anyways, there we go. Yeah. Usually found in pubs. Oh, interesting. In pubs. So you eat it to the beer, to the Guinness or something like that? You eat a Scotch egg to that? Like a little, how can I say, what, how do you call it? Like an appetizer or something? Next to the beer, a little something salty? That sounds good. That's an Easter egg. No, I think they have a certain name. What are they called? I'm not sure. Okay, Easter egg. Usually Easter eggs are just like colored cooked eggs, as far as I know. Unless you mean the stuff you hide from the children. Then you have these Cadbury cream egg. Is that what it is? That might be the thing. Yes, I think that's it. Cadbury. Is it with alcohol? The Cadbury cream egg is a chocolate confection produced in the shape of an egg, originally from the British chocolatier Fry. Thick chocolate shell containing sweet white and yellow filling that resembles fondant. What the hell is fondant? Fondant. I don't know. Okay, interesting. Ah, they look great. Look very tasty. Ah, nice. Oh, I'm getting hungry. I'm getting really hungry. Need to cook now. Okay, anyways, we are already over 2 hours. Some have alcohol in it. Oh, nice. Okay, that's great. Pickled onions are nice. Pickled onions? How do we come to onions? Did I say onions or did I say eggs? Okay. Anyways, that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining me. It was really amazing. Thanks also for all of the amazing input about the basics on how to get better with photography. So it was really interesting. The photo card was nice. The triangle was nice. So I learned new things that I can also then put in my upcoming videos where I want to do more photography. So it's really, really cool to get some other perspectives because, of course, like I said, I only know what I know, but I want to know how you see things. So that's really cool to see that kind of process. Awesome. Thank you very much. And let's put on the music here. 1 second. There we go. Okay. See you soon. Bye.